Hello. I am going to do another stitch with me today. It's been a while. Um, Doing block stitching because I find that the easiest to do while blabbing. So today I'm going to work on Ramona Nordal 21st Century. This piece, I charted it to have mostly block stitching except for her face, which has quite a bit of confetti. Well, it has like 21 different shades of monochrome colors. So it's a nice balance between confetti and block stitching. Kind of might need to angle my lighting a bit. So I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. We went to Toronto and my kids spent the day with my folks before they go on their holiday. And I found in a sketchy area in, okay. Hello. Welcome back to another stitch with me. This time I'm going to be block stitching on Ramona Nordal's piece 21st Century. I charted this piece to have an absolute ton of block stitching, and her face and in the sunglasses has the confetti, like 21 different colors, but I think this piece total has like 35 colors. So when you need a good dose of block stitching, this piece will be excellent. I hope everyone had a nice weekend. We went to Toronto to drop the kids off at my parents, and this, not the best area in Toronto, but I guess, okay, so I wanted to go thrifting, and I found this good reviews online of this one store, and I was like, oh god, this area is so terrible. And then we wanted sushi, and literally across the road from the thrift store was a sushi joint, really good reviews. So I'm just like, Toronto rent is so high. I guess these gems are coming out to where they can afford to survive, because that thrift store was incredible and the sushi was so good. My eldest, Stella, she's definitely into fashion and looking awesome. And so I got her a brand new pair of electric blue real Doc Martens. I can't believe it. And this incredible red tutu. And my youngest, she has absolutely no interest in fashion. If you ask her if she wants to be a princess, she wants her skeleton shirt and this neon yellow tutu. And she's like, I'm a princess. But I did find these really cool pair of running shoes for her. And she won't take them off, of course. I got home and watched a YouTube video and cut her hair. And this morning felt very validated when a mom was like, oh, her hair looks so cute. I was like, oh, thank you. Because when I first cut Stella's hair, oh my god, I gave her like a mullet essentially. And for a couple of years, she was like a cross between looking like her dad and Chris Farley. And then I gave her this mullet. It was unfortunate. But I did it. See, my first haircut, oh my gosh. I'm still like traumatized. Um, we went to like a real salon, Manulife Center. This was in 1990, and I wanted the hairdo. Hopefully, I can explain it. Where it's like you have long bangs at the front, and then it goes up gradually high around the back, and then long bangs at the front, and they sort of have to buzz the back of your head a bit. Super like not practical hairdo at all, but that's what I wanted, and showed the lady a picture and everything. And I'm in the chair, and she's buzzing my hair, and I don't know if I hear her say oops, but like I remember looking at her face and like something had gone wrong. Anyways, however many, like 30 minutes later, I get out of the chair like shocked, and I see my parents sitting and their faces are mortified, and I come out as like G.I. Jane. She is completely buzzed my entire head. And I don't even know, my parents paid. I don't know why, but I guess I would have paid too. Like, I was so shocked. And I was in dance at the time. And my dad's like, well, she looks like a boy. Aside from dance, I was pretty tomboy. And he's like, oh my God, we're going right now to get her ears pierced. And the Hudson Bay was like, the Manulife Center and the Hudson Bay is all connected underground. So we like walk to that place. But my mom is a fainter. And so I'm getting my ears pierced, and my mom is like passing out. And so that's all traumatizing. It's like, it didn't hurt, but my mom's like so dramatic, and I'm bald. Now I have ears pierced, and holy, that was a Saturday, let me tell you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my mom is... It's amazing how much my mom can faint. Like, she can't have her blood taken without... Like, she has to lie down on a gurney or whatever. And it's like her veins sink into her body. It's such an ordeal. You have to, like, be there with her, like, it's gonna be okay. And it's just, like, the end of the world. It's so hard for them to get her blood. And then, she kind of, like, I guess because I'm an only child, she, like, internalizes my problems. And, in my 20s, I was dating I was in a bad relationship. And I didn't really tell her much about it because she doesn't deal with that sort of stuff well. But I guess I had told her some stuff. And she went out for lunch with a friend. And yeah, she was like thinking about it, and she passed out in her plate of food. They were at a Thai restaurant. And she passed out like face first into her plate of food. Can you imagine the owners? Like, they were absolutely mortified. And Robbie calls me like, I don't think your mom's well. I'm like, oh my God, Mom. So, oh, but one of her best fainting ones, here comes the gore. What, we're like, how many seconds? 9 minutes in. The Stitch With Me gore session. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm a teenager. And I'm going to get my wisdom teeth out. And you needed a designated, not driver, because we took the subway, designated human. Because if they put you under, or they did where I went, to extract these teeth. So my mom is my designated person. And I grew up, like, my grandma's Irish, and like all of my remedies when I was sick were like rub lard on her chest and drink hot brandy and suck on turnip, that kind of stuff. So I never taken medication, like any. No Tylenol, no nothing. And so they give me a ton of pills to take. And I learned I am allergic, sensitive, whatever, to opioids. I think it was codeine. I'm pretty sure it's codeine. So I'm starting to go under, but I'm also starting to feel really nauseous. And like I remember saying, I'm going to puke. But I'm going under as well. And so I do vomit. And I guess I should say warning. Warning to anyone who, the story gets a bit gross. So they changed me into a smock. No, what are those things called? That nurses wear. Not a smock. Scrubs. They changed me into like scrubs, and they get my wisdom teeth out, and they come to, and they sit me up, and the nurse is like, "Are you gonna puke again?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." So I like hobble over to the sink this time, so I don't exorcism all over the place, and I throw up in the sink. Now they want you to like recover a bit in this area before you leave. And that's where my mom's waiting for me. And she looks at me, and like I am coming out of drugs, okay? There are like videos on YouTube about people like what state you're on. And my mom looks at me and she's like, "How many teeth have they pulled out?" And she passes out. She faints. And so I panic and I'm like touching my mouth like I don't know how many teeth they pulled out. I thought they were taking out my wisdom teeth. What are you talking about, you crazy lady? And I guess because I'd vomited like blood, I looked like a zombie had just like feasted on a body. And so my mom's lying on where I'm supposed to be recovering, and I'm rubbing her back, and I'm escorting her to the cab that's now taking us home because she feels all woozy and everything after the whole ordeal. Unbelievable. Yeah, so that was, I don't let her live that one down. I have only fainted once. Quite epically, of course. In the 2000s in Toronto, they built a new opera house, and the opening opera was going to be the Ring Cycle by Wagner, and it's a 4-day opera. I don't know if it was the inspiration for Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, but it's pretty similar. The opera version of Lord of the Rings. And so I wanted to see it. And so I looked online, and the cheapest tickets were like $2,000. And I was like, oh God. So sometimes, or a lot of times in Toronto, if you show up the day or the like right an hour or whatever before the performance, you can get tickets for a pretty good deal. But I thought I'd email and ask, if they needed help with ushering or anything, and so I could get some tickets. And so I emailed, and then I get an email back like, come for fitting. Like they're called supers, but it's essentially like extras in movies where you're like in the background on stage doing whatever. And so I go for sizing, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, you fit. Come be in the opera, and we'll give you 2 free tickets you're in the opera, so you don't get to use them, but 2 other people get to see the opera. And so that was kind of cool because, well, I needed a summer job anyways, and you got paid a tiny amount, but still is pretty cool. Good for the resume, I guess. And yeah, so they rehearse all the operas at the Tannenbaum House. That's like nowhere near the Opera House. And man, it was a lot of work. I was flames for one scene. So you like lie on your back, and your arms are up in the air, and Siegfried is like forging the sword in this fire. There's like four of us that were fire. And then another scene, they had this suspended dragon. So I was part of the dragon. And then the last scene, we're like part of this massive ring. Your arms are up in the air for like 30 minutes. So we had so much practice just to like build our muscles, moving our arms around slowly in the air. And then you move, like we knew what time each of us left the ring, and we stood in this line at the back. And yeah, so we had done the dress rehearsal a bunch of times. But then they have, I think they're called orcas or something, where it's like you go to the actual stage and you practice with the orchestra, like the real deal. I need a sip of my orange juice, sorry. Too much blabbing already. Okay, so yeah, it was going to be the day with the orchestra. And like it was right by my university. It was like a block away. And I saw the blood, there's like a blood bank bus. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll donate blood. Right before, I don't know what I was thinking, right before having my arms up in the air for like half of the day. That seems like a great idea. Anyway, so yeah. We get there, we get under the stage. The stage is on a slant, so that was fun. With our arms up in the air. No problem. Part of the dragon. No problem. Get into the ring. Arms up in the air. 30 minutes. No problem. Start to walk back to the line. And they didn't have like, this is the summer. This is because the opening is like the first week of September. And they didn't have continuous air conditioning. They had like airplanes and buses have, where like a jet just points to one part of your head. And I remember standing under it being like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. And the stage again is slanted. I don't know if that matters at all, but it's on a bit of a slope. And I'm standing there. And then about 10 minutes in, I want to say, I start to feel like the cold sweats. I'm like, oh God. And I focus on a light. Like, you know how out where the seats are on the stairs, there's always those lights so you can see what's going on. I'm trying to focus because I'm like, excuse me. Because I have a feeling I know what's about to happen. And yeah, I go down. Luckily not face first. I sort of like, the guy beside me props me up. And I go off and they're all concerned and everything. And I'm like, oh man, I just gave blood. I don't think I should have done that right before doing this. And they're like, oh, maybe you have low blood sugar or something like that. I'm like 20, my early 20s. I'm not like now. I'm not unfit or anything. But they ask for all the rest of the performances. I put like 6 hard candies in my mouth to like suck on the whole like 4-hour performance. Anyways, so that was my lovely one and only pass out experience, of course. Oh boy. It was a good summer job though. I did one more opera. I did Lady Macbeth of Minsk by Shostakovich. And I was a chicken factory worker. I was a sex worker, and I was a Siberian prison officer. Huh. That was fun because we got really cool costumes. In the ring, we were just in like white pajamas the whole time. So it was not very interesting, but we got incredible makeup with the Shostakovich one. And I got along, well, not got along, just like made closer friends with that one. I think because the production wasn't so big. There were just so many of us in the ring. So yeah, that was a good old university summer job. What other university summer jobs did I have? Oh yeah. So yeah, when you go to art school, university, pretty much everyone asks you what you're going to do in the future because it's a legit question. And I knew I didn't have the like lectures and stuff weren't my strong point. So I knew like art history and stuff wasn't going to be my jam. So curating at a museum or something was not in the cards for me. But it was like maybe an art gallery. Yeah, that seems like people will stop asking me this question if I say an art gallery. So I think I should probably try it out. And I applied to like 200 galleries in Toronto. I think 5 replied, only 2 with interviews. And yeah, one took me on as like admin, and he was trying to, I don't even know what he was trying to do. That was an interesting gallery. So I barely worked with the owner, but the lady that was sort of my boss, I guess, I knew she was going places. She was so driven. She does own her own gallery now, and she's Ray Caesar's agent. That's where I met and saw Ray Caesar's work for the first time and became instantly obsessed with it. But anyway, so art gallery, not what I thought it was at all. First of all, hanging pictures is not easy. It is not easy. And then I was majoring at OCAD, Ontario College of Art and Design. My major was in sculpture installation. So like I loved installation art. You'd get a site and you like make art to fit that site, or you'd have a piece and you'd have to make it work in that site. And yeah, so we had a couple shows with installation artists, and they would drop off like the pieces to their art, and you had to spend the next 10 hours, 15 hours in your like kind of done up to the, you know, I wasn't wearing grubby clothes, up the sketch ladder, nailing lace flowers and charcoal pieces, praying nothing breaks, looking at this diagram the artist has left, trying to get his piece to look perfect on a wall. Oh my gosh, yeah. So it was like a lot of manual labor in high heels with your nails done and stuff. It was a lot of work for $7. It was a lot. So where our desks were, there was this one wall that the gallery owner had shelves, and these shelves were packed with binders that like his roster artists, like their whole portfolios, and binders of like every past show, and binders of like every invite he had done, any print he had ever put out, like just packed the shelf. And we were putting on a show, and Belinda had gotten Moosehead, which is a beer company, to sponsor it. So they showed up with this really nice bar, and it was an open bar, and all this food, and the gallery was 2 levels. So they're setting up, they're doing such a nice job downstairs, and I'm upstairs because that's where the like desk was. There's a show upstairs too. And all of a sudden I hear the biggest crash, and I just start running in a direction. I don't know. Fight or flight, scared me, run somewhere that's not where the sound is. And like I slowly come back, and the wall that the shelves had been on with all these binders came down because he didn't put any anchors in this wall to hold all of that weight. And that was the day it decided to just fall down. And so there's dust everywhere because it's pure drywall. and like the binders are all broken and pages are everywhere, and it's where all the computers are, and it's just, oh my god. People downstairs were pretty scared too because it like landed on top of, them where they were. And yeah, so I didn't even get to enjoy that show very much because I was cleaning up that mess. I think for like a good week or two after, it was just trying to fix that disaster. So that was that show. Another show. I invited my parents always to the shows, and they were driving, and I get a phone call like, "Oh, we're gonna be a little bit late." My stepdad had a little fender bender, like a little bit of an accident. We're just doing like the insurance details, and then they're like driving. They're okay. We're going to the same place, and if my stepdad had rear-ended one of the artists to the show, who then happened to be one of my professors the next year at university. So that was awesome. Small world. Oh my gosh. But then another, oops, sorry, I just shake the camera. Another, here we go for a really big warning. Oh my gosh, this one was crazy. So the gallery owner wants to set up a site-specific show. A massive pinhole camera, which it was really cool actually, like how pinhole cameras work. And it was huge. It was like, well, you could go inside the camera. Multiple people could. And Isaac and I were going to assemble it. Oh my god. And so it's this big box that's up on skids, I guess. So Isaac's like, I have to drill something underneath. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll stand up here for moral support, I guess. And so he's lying on his back side looking up, drilling. And I don't know what happens, but he loses control of the drill. And all I hear is screaming. And I'm like, oh my god. And he's like, oh my god. And he's holding his face. And he's like, he moves his face and he's like drilled out his eyeball. And so we call an ambulance like straight away, and they take him away. And yeah, he has a pat. He now has one eye. This is all the art world. The crazy, crazy art world. So after working there for a few months, like 6 months, I decided I did not want to own an art gallery. I thought maybe it's not for me. It's a lot of work. It's a lot. So yeah. Oh god. What other summer jobs? I painted my school when school would go out for the year. We would, girlfriend of mine, we would just putty up all the holes, which are a lot because you're at art school, and you pin up every little thing you've ever drawn, and you get it critiqued. So the amount of holes at the end of the year are insane to putty and then paint white. That used to give me, I'd see people the next year, like the first on these fresh walls, poking holes, and like when they'd stand, they'd lean their foot up against the wall and just be like, oh, this hurts my heart. But the perk of that job was all the lockers, everything that was left in the locker, it was free dibs. We could take whatever we wanted. And people left a lot of stuff. It was pretty cool. I am a bit of a hoarder, so I took so much stuff. Like I hardly had to buy any sketchbooks or notebooks. Or one guy left his collection of mugs. He had like all those Starbucks mugs from all over the world. That was an awesome find. Yeah. So that was a interesting job. I knew I could never really do retail-y jobs. I don't have that in me. I never tried waitressing or anything like that. I don't think I'd be any good at that either. Yeah, so that was, of course, the gore stories. I thought it was spring. It almost looked like spring there for a bit. Now we've gotten like 4 inches of snow. It's pretty wet though, so I don't know how long it's going to stay. It has taken a long time for spring to get here this year. Oh dear. I'm ready for spring too. Don't you get sick of your, like the clothes you have? I'm ready for the next season. My kids have given me a cold again, of course. I don't feel sick though, which is good. I just sound sick. So I can't complain. Can't complain. So what are we at? We're at 30 minutes. Holy moly, that was a lot of talking. I don't know what happened there. Just had so much to say. I ordered some equipment. Hopefully it arrives at some point because it's been in transit for a long time now. And I'm going to try doing like a die with me or something next when I have it, because the contraption I have right now to do these is, well, my phone right now is like in a cross stitch, like a clamp, cross stitch clamp. So it's not going to work for dyeing. Yeah, hopefully I'll do some dye with me, so that would be a lot of fun. So I think I'll end it when I get to the end of this block. I can feel my voice giving out a bit. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I like doing these a lot. They're a lot of fun. And it's a good way to do block stitching. So let's see. How many things did we do? I'm gonna highlight. Is this not gonna work? Oh, excuse me. I have to highlight the right thing. That would help. So we did. Oh, sorry. Oh dear. 219 stitches. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next